Dana Abercrombie, the Koalition, thank you so much for speaking to me. This was really exciting. And what I wanted to know from you is when was the moment that struck you where you found the core of the strip, where the core of the script, where it was less about action, but more about that emotion and heart? And how did you want to bring that out while balancing both of those sides?
No, it's a great question, Dana. I think for me, great action movies should be rooted in great emotion and great drama. It's why we go to the movies to escape and live through characters that we have empathy for and that we care about. Otherwise, you're watching action just for the sake of action and it feels mindless, right? And
Mhm.
Jason Statham had brought me this script. It was talking about how passionate he was about the story of it, and I got it right away. And I loved that it was about family. It was about two people in their own form of exile that find family in one another and want to do everything they can not to lose it. It reminded me of Man on Fire. It reminded me of The Professional, people that are feeling outcasts and dealing with their own sense of trauma. And it becomes relatable to us so that when we relate to these characters, then we're living and breathing the action sequences with them versus just watching it. We feel like we're participating and caring about how they get through it.
Right. And as you mentioned, this is about loss. It's also about isolation, also
Mm.
from the self and what is brought to you through what happens in the movie. What I wanted to know is how do you go about showing that isolation, not just in a physical sense of using the physical space, but also finding that moment of pure emotion and getting that from the actors.
It's about what's internal. I think that when you feel what they're emoting and getting the camera close and intimate to where they're at, and a lot of time it's the silence, of the situation in the moment. It really comes about expression. It becomes about living and breathing it. And what I love about this movie is you are watching one of the biggest action stars in the world, and that we love to see kick ass, but we're reminded of what a tremendous actor Jason is and that way that he can emote great emotion and expression through living and breathing real vulnerability, the sensitivities of living in self-exile and then realizing that this young girl that he saves is dealing with her own version of exile, have loss of family and losing her place in the world. And then they find that connection with one another through that. And I love characters like that. I love that how much they remind us as people, of human beings that need one another. And we realize that we're not good at isolated. We're social creatures that need that kind of bond with others.
I also wanted to talk about the fight sequences. We have a lot of action sequences as well, but there's also is interesting. Of course, we have the fight sequences, which are big and large and explosions. But there's a small moments where there's the fighting that's very up close. That it's concealed in a way like you're not supposed to know that hey he dropped dead because he just got shot. Can you talk about balancing those two and finding the right moments for when it's allowed to when it becomes quiet?
Yeah, it's first of all, it's doing it all from a character point of view and being in the emotional journey of the character so that when the action is happening, it's not forced just because of choreography. It's dictated by the moments, the quiet moments, the suspenseful moments of knowing somebody's on the other side of the door, and you only have a fire poker to protect yourself, and suddenly bullets are flying through, and then suddenly you're into this mayhem of like when real fights happen, how frenetic they are, how everything just becomes electric in the room. It's really letting the actors and letting the story dictate your pacing of suspense and also of the action itself.
Also wanted to talk about environment. This takes place, it's a lot of water, little island, but also we have these other places where, the clubs and other settings. I wanted to know how do you go about, is it through visualization as you're reading the script of knowing what you want, or is it more about seeing the place first and how that feels towards what's in the script?
Yeah, it's a great question. It can be both. In
Mhm.
this one, I really envisioned what the lighthouse would be, in that location, and we were able to find it. And we found this amazing cliff in South Ireland that was right on the sea. We knew it was real. It had the real ruins of an old castle on it, And we built the full scale lighthouse so that that vision came true, so that when you're in this lighthouse area, inside and outside, it's all done for real, and you know that nothing's fake because you're not looking at green screen, you're looking at the real sea, you're looking at the real environment. And then that way the actors are living and breathing the real thing, not hearing the bell go off and they're sitting in a sound stage drinking coffee. No, they're in the real inclement weather in the real environment.
When it comes to the blocking, especially when it comes to the fight scenes, is it more about how you utilize that space or what looks better on camera?
It's really about the two wrecking balls that take you through those places, so that it's about how the choreography and how the actors, in this case, Jason and Brian, who plays Workman, about how their physicality takes us through that. So we did want travel, we did want the action to travel, like our nightclub sequence about if you were inside of a nightclub and trying to get out and you saw the hounds coming in and the wolves were there to kill you, how would you get yourself out? What would happen if you actually lost your precious cargo? Like Jesse, how would you get her back? So we did want a lot of movement to make the movie feel like it starts in a place where you're isolated and stuck in this little small place in the world that nobody knows where you're at, and then really feel the journey of the movie getting to the end.
And lastly, I wanted to know how would you best describe this film?
It's an emotional action thriller. It's about a movie that grips you with two amazing characters that you feel empathy for, remind us how much we need each other because they find family in one another and doing everything they can not to lose it. It's the great anti-hero story of the movies like Man on Fire, The Professional, going back to this, The Searchers, or even Shane. I love these type of films, and I know that wasn't one word, but I'm not, I love too much nuance. And I think this movie is just really special. And I hope you go to see it in the theaters today because it's a big, big ride.
I agree with that. Thank you so much for speaking to me and congratulations again.
Thank you, Dana. I appreciate your questions.
Thank you.